what do you think of Hillary Clinton's current refugee policies, and how do they differ from your own?
Look, she's a disaster in so many different ways, folks. Disaster. I don't really even think she believes it herself. You know, she was brought so far left. She was brought so far left by Bernie and the group, and I think we're going to get a lot of the Bernie people because of trade, if you want to know the truth. A lot of the Bernie people are coming with us because the one thing he was right about is the fact that our country is being ripped off like never before on these trade deals that are disasters. NAFTA has been a disaster for the United States. It's destroyed our country, and that's one thing he got right, and a lot of people liked him because of trade more so than anything else. But when it comes to immigration, first of all, she thinks that everything is more or less fine. She wants to allow 650% increase over and above what Obama is allowing to come in from Syria and the Middle East, 650%. And he's already allowing thousands and thousands of people in.
And as president, what are you going to do about Iran?
First of all, if you look at the policies of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, they have created what will be a world power. Not, you know, they're talking about a regional power. This is going to be a world power. They have become rich. They have become powerful. The deal is one of the worst negotiated deals of any kind that I've ever seen. If you look at it, just study it. We give them $150 billion. How about the $400 million in cash that we gave them, flown in? Obviously for hostages. That was the big lie also, just like Obamacare was a big lie. This was a big lie. And think of it, $400 million in cash. And they kept the hostages. Remember, it had nothing to do with the hostages, but the hostages weren't allowed to leave the airport until such time. And then they came. Who ever heard of $400 million in cash? Different denominations, different countries. They want all different money from different countries. Who even has the power to authorize something like this? So what we've done is created a monster. We've created in 3 years, 4 years. If you take a look at Iran from 4 or 5 years ago, they were dying. They had the sanctions, they were being choked to death, and they were absolutely dying. They weren't even going to be much of a threat. They didn't have anything going, and now they're a power. We've made them a power. Overnight, we've made them a power. Number one, they're highly threatening to the state of Israel. They are so bad for Israel. Obama has been so bad for Israel, but they are a great threat, and they're a threat to us. And they're going to have nuclear weapons, and this path, in my opinion, is going to be a quicker path to nuclear weapons. The deal is grossly incompetent. And then I don't know if you saw the other day, we have the little boats going out, and they're making all sorts of horrible gestures. You know, they learned the gestures, I guess. They studied the United States, and they gave those kind of gestures to our sailors and our captain on the boats. And, oh boy, I'll bet those guys wanted to blow them out of the water. I'll bet you. I'll bet you they wanted to blow them out. And so you see these 4 little boats circling, going around, you know, taunting. It's like they've been emboldened. Here we are, we made a deal that's such a great deal for them, and they now feel power. They feel power. Remember the sailors, the 10 sailors who were a little bit off? They were in the water. So instead of saying, hey, you're on our water, please, you know, go over there. They humiliated our country. They humiliated those 10 people. And the only reason we got them back, of course, you would have gotten them back very fast if I was president, that I can tell you. But the only reason we got them back was the payment the following day was due. A lot of the money the following day was due. And stupid they're not. And they wanted to get that. But just think of what's gone on. Here we are, we made this deal, we made them a power. And we also happen to have given them Iraq, because Iraq, you know, I always say Iraq and Iran were very similar militarily, and they'd fight, and then they'd rest. They'd fight, and then Saddam Hussein would do the gas, and somebody else would do something else, and they'd rest. We knocked out the one. And a lot of people don't realize that Iraq has some of the greatest oil reserves anywhere in the world. And so Iran is going to get whatever ISIS doesn't already have, and probably take that too, by the way. What we've done to create a major power through really stupid leaders. Stupidity is just shocking. It's one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. John Kerry's a terrible negotiator, but don't forget, this was a deal that crooked Hillary Clinton wanted. She wanted this deal. This was a very important deal, and she wanted that deal. And most people don't even get it. You know, normally you understand a deal, and you say, yeah, I understand, we get this, we get nothing. We get nothing. This was a deal at the highest level of incompetence. The deal with Iran was at the highest level of incompetence. So we'll solve that problem if I get the chance, believe me. And if I get the chance, you'll be very happy. You'll be very happy.
That's good. What is your response to ISIS? What do you believe we should be doing?
Well, first of all, it wouldn't have started if we had proper leadership, because what happened we shouldn't have been in Iraq, but we shouldn't have gotten out of Iraq the way we got out, where literally they announced we're going to leave by a certain date. I mean, the enemy couldn't even believe it. Actually, a lot of people thought it was a little bit of a deception because they couldn't believe anybody would say it. It turned out to be true. And we should have left a small force, relatively small force. As much as I didn't want to be there, we should have left a small force. And really, ISIS just evolved out of all of the turmoil, all of the weakness, all of the stupidity of decisions from Hillary Clinton, from Barack Obama. And ISIS started off in a small area, and now I read the other day they're in 28 different states or nations. 28, think of it. So they're spreading rapidly. A report came out where they were told within the government that they want to try and minimize ISIS but the fact is they know it's actually gotten very much out of control. And we have to do something about, we can't allow the chopping off of heads, the drowning of people in steel cages, the viciousness, the violence. So we have to knock out ISIS. We have to knock them out good. And we have to get countries that are affected by ISIS. I mean, a lot of people say, as an example, Russia, you know, Hillary likes to play tough with Russia. Putin looks at her and he laughs, okay? He laughs. Putin looks at Hillary Clinton and he smiles. Boy, would he like to see her. That would be easy. Because just look at her decisions.
To stay on ISIS a little bit, because this is I think this is an important topic, and it's certainly it's one of the national security threats that our country faces today. You have described at times different components of a strategy: military, cyber, financial, and ideological. Can you just expand on those four a little bit?
Well, that's it. And you know, cyber is becoming so big today. It's becoming something that a short number of years ago, wasn't even a word. And now the cyber is so big. And you know, you look at what they're doing with the internet, how they're recruiting people through the internet. And part of it is the psychology, because so many people think they're winning. And, you know, there's a whole big thing. Even today's psychology, where CNN came out with a big poll. Their big poll came out today that Trump is winning. It's good psychology, you know. It's good psychology. I know that for a fact because people that didn't call me yesterday, they're calling me today. So that's the way life works, right? But I think we're doing very well, and I really thank the state of Virginia. So many different places have been so incredible, so I thank you very much. But cyber has been very, very important, and it's becoming more and more important as you look, and a lot of it does have to do with ideology and psychology and lots of other things. You know, we're in a different world today than we were in 20 years ago and 30 years ago. And one of the biggest problems, or one of the reasons that we have to knock them out, is because the weaponry is so powerful today. You know, in the old days, you could have said, well, look, they have rifles, we have rifles, we shoot, and they have uniforms, we have uniforms. It's a whole different war. The weaponry is so powerful, and we have to beat them over there. We're allowing people to come over here. We're allowing, think of it, your military people, we're allowing people to come over here. And you know, I used to watch the migration, and I'd see people with cell phones. I said, where do they get cell phones? And some of those people had very horrible things on their cell phones, including the ISIS flag. And you say, what are we doing? What are we doing? But we're allowing people to come here, and we don't know, do they turn on us? are a small percentage of them bad? Because if a small percentage is bad, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. We can't take the risk. Just a small percentage can do such damage, so we can't take the risk. So, General, the bottom line is we have to get very tough and we have to get very smart, or we're not going to have much of a country left, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, good. Do you support regime change in Syria?
Look, we have a problem. It's called ISIS. ISIS is fighting Syria. Now we've built up Iran to be a big power. Iran is on the side of Assad, Syria. Russia is on the side of Assad, Syria. So we built these people up. We created this strong power in Iran, which, seriously, folks, you know better than anybody. 4 years ago, they were dying. They were gasping for air. And all we had to do is let them sit for a little longer. In fact, double up your sanctions. You could have really negotiated a deal. How Kerry never left that deal was incredible. Everybody knew it was bad. They're dancing on the streets all over Iran. And literally, they're all celebrating, shouting death to America, the dumb Americans. What they're saying is incredible. They're saying death to Israel. This is in the middle of the negotiation. If I had a negotiation like that, I'd say, let's check this negotiation. Something's not going very well. We just kept going right through. He never left the table once. If he would have left that table and said, I'm sorry, you guys. First of all, we should have gotten our hostages back before we started the negotiation, okay? 100%. And we should have said very nicely, with respect, sorry, folks, until you do it, and then you leave the room, because they're going to say, no, we're not giving you your hostage back. Say, that's okay, don't worry about it. Then you get up, you leave. You get back to your plane, you double up the sanctions. They will call you before you arrive back in Washington or wherever you're going, turn the plane around in midair, your hostages are coming back, okay? Not $400 million in cash that we have to give. Believe me. And it's 100%. It's 100. It's not like 99%. It's 100%. You leave, you say very nicely. I always tell the story of my father, who was a very good negotiator. He taught me so much. And he'd say, are you listening to this, Ivanka? But he'd say, son, he thought I was too tough with things, right? He'd say, son, take the lumps out. Do you ever hear this story? Take the lumps out. My father, Fred. He'd say, just nice and easy, nice and easy. Just relax, take the lumps out. And so I was thinking, see, in the old days, I would have said, we're not giving you anything. I would have made the room very angry. Now I just say, sorry, we owe $20 trillion. We don't have the money. We can't do it. We can't do it. It's easier. We don't. By the way, how do we pay them all this? We keep the $150 billion, but with the hostages, you say we have to have it back. Look, our people want the hostages. Your people don't care. So what happens is you say we have to have the hostages back. They will say no. You leave the room and you double up the sanctions. Within 48 hours, you'll have your hostages back, believe me. But they didn't do that. Kerry never walked. The only time he walked is when he entered a bicycle race. Can you believe this guy, 73 years old? It's real. He fell off his bicycle and he broke his leg and he was out of the negotiation for 3 or 4 weeks. And they probably did better in the negotiation when he wasn't there. But that's the only time that he left. He should have left the negotiation and doubled up the sanctions and get what he wants. That deal is a disaster for us. It's a shorter road to nuclear weapons, and it's an incompetently negotiated deal. So these are the things that we're stuck with, folks, but we will fix it.
Great. And what would you do in Libya to defeat ISIS? And just talk a little bit about your commander-in-chief philosophy for how you would deal with this.
Well, it's more of the same. I mean, it's just another place they've taken over. And this was a Hillary Clinton deal. We could have done a minor attack. He was begging. He wanted to make a deal. He wanted to do whatever. And this was just, Gaddafi was so strong on wanting to, because he knew what was going to happen. But she was unyielding. And frankly, it's a total disaster, Libya, right now. They have among the finest quality oils anywhere in the world. Their oil is so valuable, so good. And you know who's got a lot of that oil right now? ISIS. ISIS has it. So we knock them out, And ISIS now is all over Libya, and they've taken over the oil. Remember, I've been saying this for years, folks. Keep the oil. Shouldn't have been there. If you get out, keep the oil. And we should have kept the oil, and we didn't. We didn't keep the oil anywhere. We got out. We spent, I've been saying $2 trillion for years. I know one thing. It's now, I'm hearing $4 trillion. I mean, you look at what we've spent, $4 to $5 trillion in the Middle East, and think of it. What do we have? Less than what we had 15 years ago. It's a disaster. It's a total disaster, on top of which you have the migration, which is destroying Europe. Look at Merkel. I mean, what happened to her the other day in the election is incredible. And I knew that was going to happen. I mean, how could, she's supposed to be popular? Germany is a disaster now. France is a disaster. I have friends, they love, the City of Lights, right? I said to one of my friends the other day, so how is Paris this summer? He always goes to, he says, I don't go there anymore. He said, it's not the same place. It's that's not Paris anymore. We're destroying our planet. We're destroying what's going on. We're destroying ourselves. And you look at the election results from Merkel, they were so bad. And people were saying, I think she'll be okay. I don't think she'll be okay. I was saying 2 weeks ago, I said, why would she be okay? Millions of people go into Germany. The crime is unbelievable. The problems they're having is unbelievable. And Hillary Clinton wants to be the Merkel of the United States. Okay? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen. I'll tell you what, I don't think it's going to happen.
We have about 5,000 troops in Iraq, and in some cases supporting the Kurds. I think through Hillary Clinton, Secretary Kerry, the Obama administration over the last 8 years, they really have not developed any kind of coherent strategy. What would you do as Commander-in-Chief?
Well, first of all, as I predicted years ago, Iran is really controlling Iraq. And they're in there now, and we have just, they've wanted it for decades and decades and decades. They've wanted it, and we gave it to them. We gave it to them. Because you had two militaries that were equal. I was saying before, they fight, they rest. They fight, they move 10 feet this way, 10 feet this way, they go home and rest. We've handed it to them on a silver platter. When I say about the deal that we made for them or with them on the whole, the $150 billion deal, I always said that's one of the best deals I've ever seen. Not really. The best deal is we have given them Iraq with among the largest and finest oil reserves in the world. We've given that to Iran. We've handed it to them. What we've done is incredible. If our presidents would have just stayed home and gone to the beach, or even gone out and played golf every single day, played 2 rounds a day, okay? Which Obama almost does. But I think he's played golf is wonderful. I think he's played 300 rounds of golf or something like that, more than 300. That's more golf than many members on the PGA Tour, okay? So look, it's a very serious problem, but honestly, if they would have just done nothing, we would have been in much better shape. Forget about much better shape. It wouldn't even be close. The Middle East now is a total catastrophe between the migration and all of the problem and all of the death. And I'm talking death on both sides, folks. I'm talking death on both sides. Look at the people. They blow up a city and they say 2 people were wounded. All right? You know the real numbers, okay? The real numbers are astronomical. Astronomical. And we started this whole thing. And I'll tell you what, we are going to solve the ISIS problem, but we have to also get back and we have to solve it big league and strongly and swiftly. But we have to get back to rebuilding our country because our country is going to hell. Our infrastructure is a disaster. Our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our hospitals, our schools. We'd go into Afghanistan and build a school, they'd blow it up. We'd build it again, they'd blow it up. We'd build it a third time, it's still there, barely. And yet, if we need a school in Virginia, or we need a school in Brooklyn, New York, or we need a school in Iowa, there's no money, okay? There's no money. What are we doing? What are we doing? So, one of those things.
Yeah.